All right, welcome to the RodPod Podcast. You have the mouth of the South, Rod Rodriguez. We have a very special guest for this particular Zoom session.
Hello, everyone. So, my name is Brandi. I'm originally from Davos City. I moved here in Australia. I'm currently based here in Adelaide, South Australia. I work as a mental health coach, and I'm so excited to talk about mental health in this episode.
All right, perfect. And that's obviously an issue that I would say affects everybody, either directly or indirectly, right? It's whether you're the one who's actually going through the issues, or you have a friend or a loved one or member of the family who's going through it, or maybe you've gone through it and you just were not aware of it. How did you become a mental health coach? Is it something that you go to school for? Is it something that you become a part of an organization? Do you have to have like proper training for it?
That's a very good question. So, my background is in nursing, but I never really liked nursing. Sorry for a lot of nurses out there. It's probably a nursing country, Philippines. But anyway, so I've still used that background to be in this career. I did go through a training as I work with an organization here in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a national organization where they actually support mild to moderate symptoms of anxiety and depression. So, that's where I'm working for. And I did had a training with that, and I'm also working towards another registration so I can have my own practice. So
Okay.
I'm excited to do that, and that's going to be happening in hopefully at the third quarter of the year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Wish you the
but prior
best
to
on
that,
that.
I did have a bit of a background with some. Since I came to Australia, I've already mentioned that I didn't want to do nursing, but I ended up becoming a nurse here. But all of my work experiences were quite different. Like I did work as a 000 emergency services
Oh,
officer, kind of
wow.
like 911, the
Yes,
call taker.
yes.
So that was a bit of my background, and that kind of like um, opened the opportunity and kind of like opened my mind as well about the reality of mental health because we do get a lot of calls who are mental health related clients and patients. So and after that, I realized, okay, this is something that is very interesting, and I think I wanted to do. Very
Wow.
impactful.
Wow. How are you? Like personally, dealing with mental health? Have you had your own personal struggles? Are there a lot of the cases that you deal with is it very relatable to you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And never really had a personal like a mental health journey myself. I don't have any issues with that one, but I believe like because mental health is a very broad topic to talk about, to be honest.
Yes, it
Like
is.
maybe at the moment I couldn't say like, okay, I go through something right now, but who knows? The next day, tomorrow, next week, next month, who knows?
That's true.
We might be able to face something in our life that would affect us mentally.
I know there are people who struggle with mental health like almost daily. It's like a regular occurrence for them. They struggle every night, can't get any sleep. They resort to alcohol. They resort to, other vices as a form of escapism. And there are also those who are perfectly normal, perfectly happy. Everything's going fine in their lives. And then all of a sudden, just one night, they experience this like heavy emotional load. Are there levels to it? Are there classifications to it? Are there categories to mental health?
Okay. Well, I think the best way to sum up, your question, to answer your question is that a lot of people are actually not diagnosed. They don't know that they have it because they were not diagnosed for it. And that's the reason why it's good that we reach out to professional, we talk to our doctors about it. So you can be diagnosed. So you would understand, okay, I do have this. But to kind of like also answer your question, mental health could be different to anyone. Okay. Some people could just be walking there, looking happy from the outside, but they are going through something, but they're just very good. They're wearing a facade, they're just very good outside. They just don't want to share it to show it to other people because they have a very good coping strategies that work for them. Okay. Some people might also be like, okay, there's just this big emotional, load there. There's a big problem that happened to their family and they just snapped and that's it. They couldn't cope anymore. So we're talking about levels. Different people cope and manage mental health problems differently. So you can't really tell, like, just looking at the face value, you can't really just say, okay, Rod looks happy. He's a very talkative person. He looks very jolly, and I think he's okay. Mentally, he's fine. Or Brandy's like, oh, she always talks, she always posts these things and stuff like that. She might not be going through something. Who knows? So everyone can be different. When we talk about mental health, it's a very sensitive topic as well. And at the same time, it is broad that it's often taken for granted.
Hmm.
And at the same time, it's often misunderstood.
You're based in Australia. You've been there for many years. You obviously have dealt with a lot of cases there, probably mostly with Australian patients, right? But the Philippines, I'm pretty sure you are very much aware and still in touch with the struggles of the Pinoys, even the Pinoys there. What are the usual issues, that Filipinos have difficulty with when it comes to dealing with mental health, and why is it still seen as a taboo and not something that is openly discussed?
Yeah, true. What I notice, this is just based on my observation and my experience and like, lived experience dealing with Filipinos. Um, because the mentality of Filipino going abroad, this is the scenario. If you actually work overseas, most of the time our OFWs send money to the Philippines. They're the breadwinner. They look after the family back home. So all they do is really work, 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 send money back home, but they actually forget about their own mental health.
That's true.
Okay? Because the goal is to support financially. That's
That's right.
in reality, that's how it is,
That's
in
right.
Filipinos.
That's right.
And what causes it to be a mentally stressful um, a thing for most of our Filipino OFWs is that because of the too much burden, too much responsibility that you are embracing, sometimes you forget about your own self. And most of the time, when you talk to your family about it back home, they couldn't understand your struggle here
Yes.
because they're not here.
Yes.
They couldn't
Yes.
understand. They think like, oh, I think I've seen it on one of like a Facebook post or a video before, like people who works abroad are like ATMs. They like, you can just withdraw cash from them. But in
Yeah.
reality, they have to work hard for it.
That's true.
But because these things you wouldn't be able to understand if you don't live here.
That's true.
If you didn't work here, you
That's true.
wouldn't understand that. Because from the outside, what you can see in social media, oh, they're just going to places, are beautiful places. They eat out, very nice, fancy restaurant,
They can
and they
afford
always
nice
think
things that
they
they
can afford nice
otherwise wouldn't be
things
able to afford if they were still
if they're back
here.
home.
Yeah,
Exactly. So, and those are the things that they can only see from the outside, all of the shallow stuff. But that person who's going through a lot, they wouldn't know about it. And these people, they'll be carrying this heavy load because they have no one to talk to.
that's
And
true.
that's what I noticed. I remember there was one client that I've spoke to in the past, wherein she was new in Australia. She was an international student herself, and she has no one to talk to. She couldn't reach out to the family because they will say, you can do it. Suck it up. You're there. It's an opportunity. You are our investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that is the hardest part of being a Filipino working abroad and taking all the responsibilities of your family, the whole family. You are taking all of the responsibility. You're carrying a big load on your shoulder and you forget about your own mental health. And
that's
that
true.
is hard.
If you move to another country and it's a work situation, and you go there and you're already set in your ways, right? You're taken out of your comfort zone, away
Mhm.
from your friends who you grew up with, away from the food that you're used to eating, away from the places and establishments that you regularly visit and, go to for entertainment and leisure. And then you go to a new country. And that's what a lot of Filipinos, you know, see a foreign country as, especially if it's a first world country. Once you go abroad, they immediately assume it's paradise, right? And
Yes.
they forget that when you step out of that plane and you land in that country, it's no longer home.
True.
As much as you want to claim it to be yours, you are a minority. Plus the different cultures, because that's the thing. When you go abroad, it's not like everybody's on the same wavelength as here in the
Yeah.
Philippines. Traditionally, with family, we're the same, right? With our sense of humor, it's the same. With our work ethic, with whatnot, with our norms, it's the same. We're majority of us here are Filipinos, And like I said, it's like it's home. But when you go to a foreign country, you meet people there who are originally from the Middle East. You meet people there who are Jewish. You meet people there who are Europeans. And it just becomes a melting pot. And you immediately have to learn to live and coexist together despite your differences. So that's, I think, one of the biggest, most difficult things that Filipinos have to adjust to.
I always believe in the power of talk therapy.
Yeah.
Here in Australia, there's a national campaign that is an Are You OK Day. So every year they focus more on that. It's for mental health.
Yeah.
So just to ask anyone, are you okay? So we can actually try that, just in small things, like in our friends and our family, within our circle,
Yeah.
ask how they are.
Yeah.
And who knows, you could save a life.
Yeah. That's
So
yeah,
just by saying, how are you? Are you okay, Rod? You could save a life because
that
you
that
don't know
that actually
that that person's
works.
going through something.
That actually works. For somebody who is not going through a mental struggle, you're probably thinking, oh, baloney, that doesn't work. Somebody will ask me if I'm okay. I'm just going to say I'm okay anyways, whether I'm not. And I noticed also when it comes to a mental health struggle, my personal experiences, the anxiety, what I go through, the stress, the fears that I experience. And usually, the demons haunt me when I'm in bed and my thoughts are wandering, when everything is quiet. Because when you're busy, you're too busy to think about your fears.
Hmm.
You're too busy to think about your struggles. And it's when I lie down. That's why I listen to podcasts all the time. I cannot sleep without Joe Rogan in my ears or whatever. It's just how I deal with it because I want my mind to be elsewhere because if it's quiet, I I'm at that stage in my life where I'm a family man now. I'm not getting any younger. We have a lot of frustrations in life. And like I mentioned to you off air, that I've gone through experiences during my childhood that still haunt me because I never
Hmm.
really dealt with it. I never really faced it. I just went through with life. And now that we know, we're very much aware that there is such a thing as a mental health issue, and it's not exclusive to certain people with clinical issues, with physical, psychological issues. It can affect anyone at any given time.
Hmm.
I have more respect for it. I respect the term mental health now. For some reason, when you're going through a mental health issue, the last person you want to open up to are the people you're sharing your household with. It's
Hmm.
actually a lot more comforting, and you're more confident to open up to a stranger because we all have this fear that we will be judged. Like your parents, right? If you having issues at school and you tell your parents, you immediately assume that your parents will snap, right? What do you mean you're struggling at school? We're paying this
Yeah.
much. There, right? There is
Hmm.
the
You're judged
first
straight away.
you're judged right away. It's immediately you're lazy. Because this is right. We have that fear.
Exactly. I was going to say that based on what you said, it's really true. Most of the clients that I've dealt with, they really can't open about their problems, about their struggles to the people that they know, to the people that they're close to. I know that is really a challenge because it's hard. It's hard to find people you can trust. And that's why there are services like us, mental health coach, anonymous. You can reach out to me. I don't know you. You don't know me personally. I
Yes,
wouldn't be able to
yes,
judge you
that's
as
true.
everything is confidential. So you can tell me anything. I wouldn't be able to judge you. Oh, yeah, that's why you're like that, Rod, because you're like this. So I wouldn't be able to do that because I don't know you. And oftentimes I notice people are more comfortable to talk to someone that they don't know because they don't have that fear of being judged. Because you don't know me. So that's the thing, which is at the same time is a challenge because if you don't know, if there's no services like this, who are you going to reach out to? And that's why this topic is a very, very, it's a mind opening to a lot of people who's probably just been quiet all of their life. They are going through something, but they just continue with their life because they have no one to talk to.
Mhm.
So it's a sad reality, but it's good that we're talking about this because a lot of people might start thinking and because if you can observe. So for example, if I know you and I know Rod is always like this, this is your persona. This is how you present yourself to people, but all of a sudden I feel something off. Oh, Rod is not talking anymore. So me as a concerned friend, maybe by just watching this episode, realizing that, okay, mental health could be different to anyone.
Hmm.
I think I have that responsibility to reach out to you and just ask, hey, Rod, are you okay? Even
Yep.
though you won't answer, it's at least I've made an effort. At the end
True.
of the day,
True.
whatever you want to do in your life, if you've seen people who are concerned with you, you will be more motivated to, okay, if you find the right time when to talk, maybe, who knows, you will start opening up to your friends in the future. Everyone has their own coping mechanism. You have your own coping strategy that works for you. Okay. For this particular person, if, okay, I feel, this is my problem. I'm really struggling right now. I just need to let it out. Once I let it out, I'm good and I can get on
Mm.
with my day.
Okay. All
That
right.
probably is their coping mechanism.
Okay.
So sometimes I always tell this to my husband, not as an excuse to go shopping, but I always say, when I do things that you find really weird and odd, maybe ask me if this is my way of looking after my own mental health. Not to give, okay, for everyone who's watching right now, I'm not giving you a tip on how you're going to convince your
But
husband
but I
of
just
what,
had an episode on languages of love, and it's kind of related to that, right?
yeah,
Like sometimes we take it for granted, but that's actually a language of love already, right?
self-care.
Self-care, that's right. Yeah, well, all right. So, okay, now I feel guilty. I have friends on Facebook, on social
Mhm.
media that, always on a daily basis are complaining about something or posting something about a struggle that's not really a struggle. And I brush it off. I don't take it
Yeah.
seriously. But you're right. It might be their coping mechanism. Just the fact that they can post that because maybe
Hmm.
they're not really maybe it's not real. Maybe there's a deeper issue, right?
True.
It's just that they just needed some sort of yeah, a release, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're using that as an excuse. Okay, I
Hmm.
get it. Now, okay. Now I respect
It's
posts like
mind
that more.
changing. It's mind changing now,
It
Rod.
is. It is.
Just talking about this mental health. Now, a lot of people would think, mental health, it's a taboo. It's hard to talk about, but it could be life changing because now you realize, okay, maybe before you were judging this person,
I
like who
was.
keep posting,
I
yeah,
was.
rants on social media, and for something that you think, oh, that's nonsense. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
could have dealt with a lot more difficult
Yeah, you didn't have to
problems.
post that. That was not that
Yeah, you're
was,
gonna have to post that.
yeah.
But maybe that's their way, they just wanted the space to vent. If you do have a friend who comes to you regularly and, just talking about their problems, just throwing all those issues, and you are there, you're not trained, you're not a mental health coach, you don't know how to help them, how to counsel. But what you've mentioned about listening, that is a major thing. Just by listening there, just listening to them, you don't have to say anything. But what I wanted to tell you as well, you got to be careful with that because
Mm.
at the end of the day, you got to look after your own mental health. We always say this in the
Oh,
mental health space that you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you feel like you're being drained, you are draining already because,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I have this friend. Hey, Brandi, I have this problem every single day.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel down, and you're just there listening. Okay, okay, listening. Your emotional bucket will be drained. So you got to start doing self-care. So what are you going to do after that? Do something that can help you feel recharged, which is different for anyone.
Mm.
Again, if I love to do shopping, and
Shopping.
that's
Video
me.
games.
If that's
For
me,
me, it's
oh,
video
you're
games.
video
As you can
game.
tell, look behind me.
Yeah,
Video
I
games.
know. I can
Video
see. I
games.
can. Everyone's
That's
coping mechanism and self-care is different. You could go for a walk if that's how you feel recharged. Then do it.
post on Facebook, right? Like whatever.
Whatever.
Wow. All right. All right. Well, you know what? That alone, just you bringing that up, it's given me a different perspective, and it's really all about perspectives. It's sometimes we're so, and I think a lot of mental health struggles also stems from that. Is that we're looking
Mhm.
at our problem, our struggle from our perspective alone, and
Yeah.
if you hear from someone else who can see it from, a different perspective, maybe the bigger picture, maybe because they're not directly emotionally connected to it,
Right.
they have a
Mhm.
more functional approach, right? And I've always, every time I go through something like that myself personally, I always just tell myself, just worry about things you can control. So, all right. Anyways, I absolutely appreciate you giving us the time, Brandy. This is not the last. This is
Yeah.
actually the feeling out episode, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it ended up being a therapy session for me. So,
Yeah.
hopefully
I think this
next
is more of a
time.
part two.
I know it is. Hopefully next time. Now I know why there's such a thing as a mental health coach. Before I would
Yeah.
be like, really? There's such a thing?
Yeah. What do they
Well,
do?
yeah, apparently I'm one of the beneficiaries of it.
Yeah.
So for those who are watching this, hopefully you guys can throw questions and concerns our way so that we can deal with other people's issues. Like if there's
Mhm.
anything mental health related, anything emotional and
Yeah.
whatnot. I'm so glad that we have Brandy, who is actually well versed and well trained for dealing with issues like this. Brandy, you have like about a minute to plug your thing. Could you go ahead and do that?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just actually started, talking about mental health awareness, talking about mental health struggles, coping strategies in my page. So it's Brandy McCain. So it will be tagged in this post anyway.
Yes.
Um, at the moment, I actually get a lot of inquiries, to be honest. A lot of people are asking me, "Hey, coach, do you have a program, anything like that?" And that's the reason why I actually connected with Rod because I thought, oh, there's a lot of people who really wanted to know about mental
Did
health.
you know that I was gonna be your first
I
patient?
no, no. I just thought because you started podcast and I'm like, okay, maybe he's the best guy I could connect with.
So
And
check
I'm a
out
fan.
Brandy. Yeah, check out Brandy.
Yeah.
We have less than a minute. Yeah, I don't want to bug you again but because I know we're gonna do another episode or many more,
Sure.
hopefully. So check out
Yeah.
Brandy, mental health coach. The best part is she's based in Australia, but she's still a Filipina at heart.
Of course.
Brandy, thank you
Happy to
so
help.
much. And hopefully you guys will reach out to her and again post your mental health queries for our next episode. So Rod Rodriguez,
And it's Brandy.
we're out.
Ciao.
Bye.
Da 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 da. It's the one and only Digo Double G.